Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to DC Optics and more. Today we're going to continue with the unboxing of the Commander NV500 that we did the other video. I told you that I would do kind of an in-depth review of the three lenses that came with it. The first objective lens is the 2 by 16 by 30. The second lens is the 4 by 32 by 50, and the third lens is the 648 by 70. Right now, what I have on the scope right now is the 16 by 30 objective lens, and I put this one on first. We're gonna go with the smallest one to the largest one. Um, and if you notice on the digital zoom, I'm at 1 right now. So when you turn it clockwise, you can zoom in, and you can zoom in up to 8 times the power of the lens itself. And the closer you get, the better you can see it. Sometimes you might have to adjust your front focal adjustment just so you get a little bit more clarity. And that is the 16 by 30 lens for the NV500. So I'm going to bring it back out a little bit so you can see exactly how it looks. That right there is the 1 times on the digital zoom. So next I'm going to go ahead and change it over to the 32 by 50 and show you exactly how close you can get to an object that you're looking at. So stay tuned. Let me go ahead and change that over and I'll get right back with you. Okay, we're back now. This is the 32 by 50 lens that we have on here now. So we're going to zoom in just a little bit more just to check out, see how close and the clarity of it. You can see right there, we're at 3 right now. And this is at 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times. And this is 8 times, and I believe we're at like 50 yards away. Let's check that out. Let's see how what's, yeah, we're 52.1 yards away. So when I zoom in, the yardage doesn't change, just the image gets closer and closer. But you notice how the yardage symbol goes up because you're getting closer to the object. But then it comes right back down towards the center of the screen. So now I'm going to go ahead and change over to the 48 by 70. Give me a second. I'll be right back with you. All right. Now we're back. We have the 48 by 70 objective lens on. I'm going to go ahead and bring you a little bit closer. You see we're at 49.2 yards away. You see how much closer you get with this objective lens. The closer you get, I mean, that's right there is at maybe what, 6 power, 7, 8. That's at 8 power right there. Now I'm gonna focus in just a little bit, and you can actually see the holes where the bullets actually hit the target at roughly 50 yards away. What I can see inside of the scope compared to what I see on the TV, it's a lot more clearer, a lot better view. I tell you what, this is an excellent scope, especially at night. Last night I was outside just kind of playing around. It was really dark out, and I was using the different lenses. And I tell you what, It was really fun, exciting. I was 80 yards away, seeing the bark on the tree, no issues, loved it. I know that when I do go hunting at night, I will be able to see what I'm looking for. I shouldn't have any problems. I tell you what, Oneleaf did an excellent job at creating this scope here and the NV400 along with the NV100. So they upgraded each one of them as the years gone by. Excellent job. Hats off to Oneleaf. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the menu, kind of show you. On the top part here, you see this is radical type. Do a quick push, and then you got. Let me turn this over to the white screen here. Right there, I think it'd be perfect. Yeah, right there would be perfect. If you notice the top one, it says 7, then it has a little arrow. The top one is a number 1. If you look down to the bottom, you see that's kind of blacked around it. That's the actual reticle that I have on the scope right now. That's the reticle that I like using. So that reticle is number 7. You click it up. Clockwise, you go straight to the top. Counterclockwise, you go back down to the bottom. Then you can work your way all the way up to the top. Clockwise, you can work your way back down. The top one right now is reticle number 1. MOA reticle. The second one is the millwright reticle. The third one is a millwright reticle. Fourth one is just crosshairs. The fifth one is the reticle with a circle dot in the center. The sixth one is just a dot. And the seventh one, of course, is I call it the T-shaped reticle with a dot in the center. I like that because you see more of the object that you're shooting at, but you know where the center point's going to be because you just line up the bottom with the sides, which would be the point of impact. So that is your reticle. And then if you want to select your reticle, you just do a quick push. So let's go up to number 1. I'm gonna do a real quick push on the selector switch. And then it goes, if you notice the number 1 there, now that is what the reticle looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of the menu. I'm holding the button down. If you see how the reticle is right there, that's the number 1 reticle. So let's go back into the menu. And then we're going to go to one-shot zero. One-shot zero is if you shoot the target when you first get it, wherever that bullet hits, that is where you do a real quick push, and then you watch the reticle, it'll shift side to side. See how it's moving? And on the bottom, that's the axis. The x-axis is 629. The more you go over to say, we're just going to say the shot's right there. So it's at 609. Do a quick push, and then you're going to get to y-axis. Y-axis is at 480. You can clockwise, it brings it down, and say that the bullet hole is right there. So what you're doing is, in essence, is taking the reticle and moving it over to where the bullet hole is. And what that does is that once you set that successfully, it'll move your scope sight to that point. Now, the original reticle is still in the middle. That's what your original aim point of impact is, right there. But your bullet is not at the center of the impact. So when you bring your reticle over, you're centering your scope to your barrel. So now, that would just say we have that hole, hypothetically there's a hole there or a shot there. So that's where you bring your reticle down, and then you do a press down and to your button where your recording button is, and you're going to press that recording button, and then a list is going to come up. That list has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and exit. Well, That is the programs. If you want to select number 1 for your program or number 2 for the program, depending on which weapon you're using or which bullet, you can actually program through the scope here on the ballistic calculator. So I want to save it on program number 1. So I hit that record button and then I hit it one more time and it'll say successfully saved. So now your scope is zeroed in. So you take your scope, clear the menu. Now the menu is cleared and it'll automatically go back to the original setting, which is ×1. So right there, wherever you aim, and you go ahead and you put that on your center point of wherever you want to shoot, that bullet will be right there. So let's go back to the menu. Okay, now your radical colors. I have red. You click it, and then you go white, red, green, blue, dark green. Those are the colors. There's 5 colors you can choose from, depending on your situation, where you're at, what's in the background. You choose the appropriate color. Do a quick push on it, and it saves the color that you select. Position. That's the position I was telling you a little bit ago with your radical. Hit the position. This is, right now, I'm using position 1. If you notice that it shows up red radical, the x-axis is at 680, the y-axis is at 626. The x-axis would be your windage for a regular scope. Your y-axis will be your elevation on a regular scope. So a quick push, I can actually just click the knob clockwise or counterclockwise and go to each one of these programs that I've preset for, say, different bullet types, different weapons, different guns you might want to use, and it's already preset. So if you take the scope off and you say you put it on your 6.5 Creedmoor, or you put it on your 22 LR or your 22 mag, and each one of these you can set, say I'm setting this one here at my 6.5 Creedmoor. So when I take this scope off and put it on my 6.5 Creedmoor, I go to this setting, and then all the ballistics that I put in there, as far as the radical, the one shot zero, will be saved for that weapon, as long as you have that exact uh, scope on there, which, oh, actually the objective lens, I should say. And this objective lens is a 48x70. So every time you change your objective lens, you have to re-zero it all back over again. Keep that in mind. So I'm going back to 1, quick hit. Let's go down to the ballistic perimeter. Do a quick push. Now your ballistic perimeter shows up. My ballistic perimeter is on. So I do a quick hit. I can turn it off by clicking it forward, which is clockwise. Counterclockwise turns it on. So I have that on, quick push, and now I'm set for that. Your ballistic groups, your ballistic coefficiency, your ballistic model, ballistic weight. The ballistic weight is the weight of the grain of the bullet. Right now I'm using a 17 HMR with a 17 grain bullet. So I set that at a 17 grain. And if you want to change it, if you have a 22 LR and your ballistic is at 1640, you can change it by twisting the knob up on top to whichever the ballistic is on the box of ammunition you're using. So right now I'm at 17 grain, so I'm gonna leave it at 17 grain. And now I'm gonna go to the initial velocity. The initial velocity is the speed that the bullet is coming out of the barrel. On my 17 HMR, I'm using the Hornady VMAX, and coming out of the barrel, it's at 2,550 FPS. At 100 yards, it's 1901. So you see how it changes just a little bit on the velocity. So when it comes out of the barrel, you set that on your ballistics calculator. And then your zero range. The zero range is what the range from where your gun is to where you're shooting at your target, your object. Most likely it's target. So you want to sight your weapon in at, say you're sighting it in at a 50-yard range. So you will put 50 yards. If you want a 100-yard range, you change it to 100 yards. And then it'll save that calculation. So I'm saving it at that. The sight height. Sight height is the height of your scope to the center of your barrel. Mine happens to be 2 inches. If you look at the picture on the side, it'll kind of give you a diagram of exactly what to do, how to measure it if you don't know how to measure it, and the rotations and the buttons to hit to save it and or to change it. Shooting angle. Shooting angle is the angle on which, either if you're in a tree stand or if you're on the ground, if you're in on a bench rest or just standing on a tripod, on the side of the scope, it also has the range. I'm going to see if I can get that up real quick for you. And there it goes right there. It just kind of shows you the range from where you're at that when you shoot. You put that calculation in. The windage, velocity, miles per hour, it's how fast the wind's going. Okay, you're out here shooting, you say, okay, the wind's at 3 miles an hour. Softly click it, and then you can go ahead and put that information in. So let's go down to the angle, the degrees of the wind that's blowing towards the shooter's face, towards the shooter's side, towards the shooter's back. So all that plays a variable on the, the trajectory of the bullet. The altitude, what's your altitude that you're at? You know, are you up on a hill? Are you in a valley? That is something, if you need to know. If you're really into all that, then you'll pretty much know how to do it or what to do. But as far as that goes, the temperature, what's the temperature outside, all of these key factors play a very crucial role in the trajectory of the bullet. You know, you may be aiming downrange, you got your target in sight, there's no way you're going to miss, and then all of a sudden you pull the trigger and you're off by an inch, you're off by a quarter of an inch. Why? Because you didn't calculate for wind, temperature, angle, all that plays a factor. So this ballistic calculator is amazing. And then once you click it all the way down to the bottom here, even you have relative humidity. Do you know what the humidity is outside? Not really, but you take a kind of a guess on what it is and you go with it. But this, uh, I wish every scope would have it. So let's move on. Since we're done with the ballistic calculation area, let's move on to the next one. Hold and press that down, hold it for a few seconds. Here's a good one. This one I like a lot. I think it's for the people that love the first focal plane and some that love the second focal plane. Me personally, I like them both. Right now, my weapon is on the first focal plane. You do a light push, press it down, and they'll both come up. And it shows you, it's highlighted in black. It says FFP, right click it or click forward counterwise, and then it says SFP. Whichever one you want, all you have to do is light press, and then it shows up in the menu screen as SFP. If you notice how the radical went down once I did that, that's because your reticle will go down, but your picture will enlarge. Your reticle will basically stay the same. So that way you don't have this big, huge, giant reticle in view of your point of aim. I like it, the FFP, and the reason I like that, so in case I'm doing any holdovers or hold unders, I'll know exactly how far that I need to either hold it over or hold under at the point of impact. Next one is your range marker alignment. Range marker alignment, you usually do this when it's dark out, and what it does is that there. See the little square green box? That square green box, if you look at it, you can change it because in the bottom it says X639. You turn it over, you see how it's moving, and the numbers are changing. That's on the axis plane, on the X plane, and that's the center. Now I do a light push down, and now I'm going to go to the Y axis, and it's at 482. So I'm going to click it. You can click it as fast as you want or as slow as you want, but I'm going to bring this to the center of my target. You can see the center is right there. Okay, once I do that light press to save it, do a long press on the menu key, and it says successfully saved. Now, when you turn your rangefinder on, it's going to show that center dot. Wherever you're aiming, that's where it's going to be. And it's going to calculate that exact range at that exact point. Because sometimes people have their rangefinders off a little bit, so they're aiming at the target, but the rangefinder is actually 3 feet to the left or 3 feet to the right, and it's going past their target, hitting something else, and they think they're at 60 yards when in actuality they could be only at 56 yards. So make sure you zero that in. That's really important. The next one is your ISO sensitivity. ISO sensitivity I have on auto right now. That right there, the ISO, what that is that allows the ambient light to come in. It's almost like a camera, for if you want more light in, you open it up or you change it to a different setting. So it allows more light in. It'll give you a little bit more of a brighter picture. I have it on auto, and the reason I have it on auto is because there's a variable in the areas that I shoot. It may be dark in one corner of the area and lighter in the other, so it will change accordingly. So I like the auto a lot better. So I'm going to leave that short press. Now I'm out of that and back onto the menu. Unit. Unit is a unit that you use, either you're going to use yards or you're going to use meters. And there's a light press, it shows you the yards. Click it, got your meters. We're in America, so we use yards. The UK and some other countries, Canada, they like to use meters. So you can change that. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Light press down on the button and you're back in the menu. Screen aspects. Screen aspects is the size of your screen that you want to use. A lot of people like to use a 16:9. I use the 4:3, or you can do smaller. That's just the size of the screen, so when you're doing pictures or making videos. So let's move on to the next page of the menu, because there's, I believe, 3 or 4 pages. Movie mode. Movie mode, you can play it at 4K at 30 FPS. Right click and you can go all the way down to 120 FPS. So for slow-mo, for regular speed, it's there for you. Photo resolution. Photo resolution, I'm at 12M. I believe it's be 12 meters, and then you got 8, 24, and 48. Or it could be modes. I'm leaving it at 12. Let's go movie clip time. Movie clip time is the time that you use to videotape something. So if you're out and about and you want to videotape your shot or your hunt, um, it came standard at 2 minutes. I changed it to 5 minutes because I want a little bit longer record time. That way, in case I have to wait a little bit longer, turn my scope back on from sleep mode, and then all of a sudden, 2 minutes go by, and then I can't hit what I'm aiming at or I can't record it because it only lasted 2 minutes. So I went 5 minutes. You can go 10 minutes. It's all up to you, personal preference. So auto record. Auto record is as soon as you turn your scope on, it automatically comes on automatically. You don't have to worry about pushing a button. You don't have to worry about recording anything. It automatically comes on. I have it off because there's sometimes when I'm not don't want to record, or I'm not recording and I'm just planking, sighting my weapon in, shooting the target, just having a little bit of fun. So I have it off. But when I know I'm going to be shooting something, maybe going out varmint hunting, I would have my auto record on. That way, if I had to drop my weapon, I don't have to worry about pushing the record button because it's automatically going to come on. So let me turn that back off there. Sound record. Sound record is the same thing. As soon as you turn your weapon on, the sound comes on. You record everything and to hear everything. Good recording, good sound. It's there. I have that on. I'm going to turn that off. But, I'm going to leave that on. That way I don't have to worry about trying to figure out why did my recording have a sound to it. So I'm leaving that one on. Exposure, the EV exposure. EV exposure is how bright you want the picture to be. So that's what the exposure is going to be, is 0.3. Then you have metering. Metering is basically you can change the radical positioning. You can multi, center, or spot for that. I have it on multi, and I'll leave it on multi. Brightness. Brightness comes standard at 50, pretty much in the middle of the screen, but you can change the brightness of the screen by clicking it, and then you can see that right there. You can turn it left or right, up and down. If you notice how the screen changes right now, see how bright it's gotten, and then this is the darkness. It's getting darker. You see up by the top of the range hood there, it's really dark. You can't see, so you kind of adjust it. Now you can start to see it a lot better, a lot clearer. So there, if you want it really bright, you can put it right there. I like it about 50. So I'm gonna leave that at 50. Contrast is the same concept, but not the brightness. So it just brings it more of a clearer image. So you can see that right there, the difference in the image of it. So I like to keep that at 50, so I'm in between there. And your saturation. And of course, saturation takes color out of the picture, so you can actually make it more of a pale black and gray effect, or you can bring the color back in. And trust me, when the color's in, it is in. It's bright, vibrant, very vibrant. This scope is very vibrant when it comes to the color contrast of it. That's what I like about it, as well as all the other features. So let's move on to the next screen. After we set this, okay. Next screen is your red dot. You have a red dot in the center of your rangefinder. I have that off, and the reason I have it off is because I really don't use the red dot. So, but if you want it on, you can turn it on. A simple turn on is you just click the button real quick, and then you see how you can change on and off. So I like to leave mine off. Your backlight, sorry about that. Your backlight. Backlight is the lights up there near the 3 buttons that I showed you on the last video, and you can turn the backlight off or you can turn the backlight on. If say you're hunting at night and you don't really want to be detected or any air interference, you can turn your backlight off. The scope will still be on, but the lights will not be illuminating, so you don't have to worry about anything seeing the light. So I'm leaving that off. Let's go to LCD brightness. The LCD brightness, you got it. The LCD brightness is the brightness of the screen you're looking at when you look inside your scope. You're not looking at a scope like you do a regular scope through the scope barrel. You're looking at an LCD screen that is projected from another screen in the front. That is on both sides of the battery that is inside the NV500. So you're basically looking at an LCD screen just like you would on the camera. So at night, if you want to lower that down, you can turn the brightness of that LCD screen down quite a bit, or you can leave it up. And I have mine at 70, so that's a good feature there. So let's go ahead and move down to the PIP, which is picture in picture. And what this does, and I have mine off, is if you have it on, what it does, it shows up a little square box on the top of your screen, just like that. And what that does, that magnifies the image that you're looking at. If you're at, say, ×1 on your scope, that is at probably ×6 or ×7. So you're able to see the image a lot closer, but you're looking at the image down on the bottom, and that other image is where your sight is actually at. So you don't have to really zoom in if you don't want. You just look up there, you say, okay, this is where I'm at, and I'm there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger. But me, I have that off, but you can turn it back on if you want it on. Now the picture-in-picture position, that's a cool function. What that does, watch the top screen and you can see the x-axis is at 637. If you watch the top screen there, you see the big picture. I'm going to move it so you can see how the line moves. What that does is that puts the picture-in-picture in the center of your screen if you want it in the center of your screen. If you want it to the left of your screen, if you want it off to the right of your screen, you don't want it anywhere near where you're focusing, you can put it to either side, top, bottom, up and down, anywhere you want it. If you feel that that's a distraction, you can do that. So that's how you do that. And in the y-axis, light push. Now I'm going down to the y, and this is how I can bring it down. Get closer to the image that I'm focusing on. So you can play with that. So it's personal preference. Play with it, see if you like it, see where you like it. And if you like that, you like it where it is, leave it. And if you don't like it there, then you can go ahead and move it wherever you want to move it. So let's get out of this screen here. Let's turn this one off. All right. So now let's go to day, starry, and night mode. Day mode, that's for daytime. You want to keep your sun shield down on the front of your scope because you don't want to let in a lot of light. You don't need that much light. So if you want to go to starry night just before it gets dark out, and you can still see, but it's kind of dark where you can't focus too well. Hit it to Starry Night. That changes the screen to look like that. You say, okay, well, I don't really like that too much. Let's go to the night mode. You hit the night mode, and that's night mode. So that's at nighttime. Then once you go to the night mode at night, you turn on your IR light, and it brightens everything up. And you can adjust the focus on the IR light to either a real tight focus, like a flashlight, or you can bring it out almost like a floodlight, so you can see a little bit more of the surrounding. But right now, we're at daytime. So we'll go back to daytime mode, and now you see everything back in color. Display icons. What the display icons are is all the icons that are on the sides of your scope to let you know how many yards you're at, what your battery life is, whether it's day display, night display, starry night display, what the percentage is on your SD card. So those are the display icons. And the display widget is the same thing. All the little information you have on the side, your tilt, your angle, that's all displayed. You can shut all that off if you want just a plain screen and only a radical showing. Your compass calibration. Compass calibration, if you look up in the left-hand corner of your screen, you will see it says north, south, east, and west. That'll tell you which way you're facing, which way you're going, which way you're aiming. So pretty much if you're out in the woods, you have that lit up, I don't think you're going to get lost. If you get lost, you shouldn't have been there to begin with. But no, seriously, you shouldn't get lost. That's a good object to have on your scope. Next is your gyro calibration. Gyro calibration is so when you calibrate this, so in case you drop it, you don't knock it out of sync, and it'll be calibrated. So in case that happens, it won't mess your scope up. Let's move on to the next one. Language. Of course, you know it's in English. Um, it has a multitude of different languages. So whatever you feel like you know or you speak fluently, you can click it onto that, and when you go ahead and do a video, it would actually come out in your language, but all the readings on the sides in the menu will be in your language. That's what that's for. So it's like stamp, it'll say in Spanish. Date format, it'll say that in Portuguese. Clock setting, it'll say that in whatever Yugoslavia or Dutch, Italian, Polish, France, and I believe there's more. So stamp, that's the time, date that you have, your logo. That's self-explanatory. Date format, that's the year, month, and day. Self-explanatory. Clock setting, of course, that's self-explanatory. Format your SD card. You format your SD card only if you want to, or only when you do a firmware upgrade. Don't do like I did and format your SD card and erase all your videos that you've taken. And if you read the information, if you have a white background like it is now, it's hard to see that writing. So once you put it to a darker background, you can read the writing. It'll say format SD card, all data will be deleted. Well, guess what? Yep, you got it. I deleted all my videos. So do not format your SD card unless you upgrade it. And it will tell you once you once you upgrade and format your SD card, you will delete all the information, your ballistics calculations, your one shot zero, all that would have to be redone all over again. So advice to you is on your ballistic calculator, keep all that information, write it down. That way you'll have it. So when you go back after you format your SD card, you go back and you put all that information back into your ballistic calculation. That way you don't have to start figuring all back out again. So, or you can take and transfer your photos or your videos from your SD card onto your computer before you do a format. Next, vision and card info. Once you do a firmware upgrade, this will change. This also tells you the gigabyte size, the available size you have, used size, that's how much is used on your SD card. The software version is 005. They have a 003, 004. This is the newest and latest updated version for the Commander NV500. And you see right there in the corner, it was updated 5/15 of 25. I still have 99% free space. Now, when you do an updated version or an upgrade software version, that 005 will change to the newest version. So what you do is you write this number down, write down the NV500, the date. So when you do an updated version, you compare to see if the software actually downloaded the new version. If it didn't, then you have to go through the steps all over again to make sure that it did update to the new version. So keep that in mind that you want to write this down. The numbers up on top is just the size of your SD card that you have to work with and all the gigabytes. But the information where it's a software version, write that number down. That way you can have it for the future. And if you do a firmware upgrade, you can check by going to this part of the format, checking it to see if it's the same or if it actually updated to say 006, 007, whatever the firmware update number would be. That way you know you did it correctly. Because if you still have the same number and you think you updated it and you look and you see, well, I don't know, I'm not sure if I did it. It looks like it changed. Yeah, it changed, but in actuality, it didn't change. Make sure you write those numbers down to make sure you do right, you do it right, and it did change. Now the last one is real critical. This is a reset setup. You hit this button and you will reset the entire scope from the day you bought it from the factory. The day you open it up, the first day you took the plastic off, this will set everything back to day one. Anything you have on there, anything you wanted to save will be gone permanently. Goodbye, adios, see you later. You ain't getting it back. Don't hit it. Don't reset anything. It will ask you reset setup. It'll ask you yes or no. If you click on it, just like on the other side, it's like every other part of the menu. It will ask you no, because it will erase everything and go back to factory reset. And that is pretty much the entire menu. So the menu is really helpful, really informative. It has a lot of options. I love the radical type, the one shot zero, and the ballistic parameters. It's great. I have my scope set at 50 yards. I went out to 100 yards, and a green X with a circle around it showed up, and I knew at that point that's where I need to put that at the zero, the center of the target. And when I did, that's exactly where it hit. And it was a difference of like 1 inch. So that the further you go out, it goes up another inch. The further you go out, 300 yards, it goes up another inch. So Remember that. It's very helpful. So get your ballistics calculated in there, get them right, and I'm telling you, at 100 yards, 200 yards, you're not going to have any issue. You'll be hitting your target every day, all day. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I do ask you to like, comment, and give a shout out to Oneleaf for allowing me to do this review. You guys need to go check out oneleaf.ai, see what they had to offer. Really good customer service. I highly recommend them. Go check out oneleaf.ai. Thank you. And I am going to ask you guys a question. On my 17 HMR, you notice it's black. I have a 22 Rugen Precision rimfire as well, identical to my 17 HMR. That I painted camouflage. Now, the debate is this. Do I want to paint my 17 in camo, or do I want to keep it black? Put the comments down below whether I should paint it or should keep it black. I like to know what people think. So let me know. Maybe we can have a debate going on here, and we'll see how many yeses I get and how many no's I get. But either way, let me know the comments down below. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.